And we're live. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Quantum GK. Tonight, I am very, very excited to have our last, or I guess, finale episode of our celebration of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. No other than a prominent businessman you're based in San Diego, and also our former chairman of Chike USA, Mr. Tony Olaes. Hi, Tony.
Hi, Donna.
Hello. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, first off, all right. So you were the chairman of Gawad Kalinga USA from what year now? I know you stepped down maybe 5 years ago or something like
Gosh,
that.
I've been doing Gawad Kalinga work for 15 years now, 14 years. So I'm going to say 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, around 10 years
So that
ago.
would be about, it's got to be earlier than that, I think. Because, something that I remember, vividly remember from the first time I heard you speak at a Gawad Kanina conference to a rather conservative crowd, I think. I think a lot of them were conservative.
Okay. What did I say?
No, you said, so you told your story about how, you started doing business back in college and, you're a graphic designer
Yes.
by like trade, right? Or by, background, that's your discipline. And that you started, doing business back when you were in college. And that when you officially launched your own company, you hired an accountant.
Oh,
And the accountant told you,
yeah.
yeah, you're not going to make money in the first year. And you fired him. Did I
Yep.
remember correctly?
That's correct. That's
Oh, that's
correct.
got to be more than 10 years ago, buddy.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
remember,
I've been in business 26 years now.
yeah,
26 years. This business that I started out of college has been 26 years.
yeah. Well, when you spoke at that conference, it might have been 2009, maybe 2000,
Yeah, exactly.
something like
Exactly.
that. And that really made a huge impact on me. I don't know, like what other
Really?
people thought about that. It did. See, I would, I mean, I do remember a lot of things weirdly, but there are very few things that I would remember that truly, impacted me. And that's one of those, when you said that, because very clearly to me, you're a man of, big vision of something that's, you wouldn't settle for anything, anything less than, than the best, or like a big vision. And you really are, you really are you would put your heart into it, and you really work hard on achieving that goal. So that was something. And I had not met you, like in person yet at that time. First time I saw you was at that stage, and I did not know who you
Hmm.
were. So I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, and I thought you were you were at the right place with Gawad Kanina, because obviously Gawad Kanina had, has ambitious goals, has big goals and big vision for the country, right? So how did that, if I don't know if you remember back then, back in 2009, 2010, how it felt being on that stage.
I when I shared that moment, I fired this accountant who said it's not possible. In my heart, I don't want anybody to tell me that it's not possible. And maybe that's the Filipino in me, okay? But when I fired this person, I said, how dare you say that I'm not capable of making a profit? You can give me all the statistics and all the reasons in the world, but you can't tell me that I'm not going to be able to do it. There's no way in hell. Can I say hell?
That's
but
fine.
that was the attitude. And I operate that way, and I operate my whole life that way. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot about that incident. But that was 26 years ago.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about your involvement in Gawad Kalina and all of that. But do you think that big vision and, just not allowing people or circumstance tell you it's not possible, do you think that cascaded or, like applied to your involvement to Gawad Kalina as well?
Absolutely. Because Tony Meloto, back in the day, spoke of 2024 as the year poverty would be ended in the Philippines. And I believe that still today. How's that? As a possibility, as a possibility. So I operate from that. To me, it's June 12th, 2024. That's what I've created, June 12th. And I envision a lot of things. Okay. And I'm working towards that. And I mean, some of it'll come up in our conversation. But I operate from that because I always feel that there's a date and the date drives everything. If you don't have a date, then forget about it. It can go on forever, never, never. And that's one of the things that I loved about Tony Meloto. He
Mm.
was bold and he was a visionary. And when I saw him speak for the first couple times, I just said, I completely get where this man is going. His commitment is for change in the Philippines, and that's what I want. Okay, so Tito Tony, if you're listening, you heard it straight from me. You know, I bought into it because it was my vision now, and I could own it, and I still own it today, Donna.
Mm. Well, being a businessman, I think that's where, having a deadline and knowing that you have to deliver at, a certain date, I think that's the word that is coming from. But also, especially for people who have, been working with Gawad Kalinga for many years, it is not without challenges, right? It's not a perfect, organization. I mean, there's no perfect organization, but there are, a lot of challenges with Gawad Kanina as well. So how did you, you being American, being born in the US and everything, I know obviously you have Filipino blood and all of that, but your upbringing is very American, right? And I always say it's the culture is very much different, but how did you navigate through all of that?
You know, it's been a learning journey, Donna, because I grew up not being proud to be Filipino. So I tell people I've only been Filipino for 15 years. Ever since I got involved with, oh, excuse me, the boss is calling. I'm in a live interview. Sorry.
You're fine.
I still get
Hello.
scared when my wife knocks on the door. Okay, so that's my kryptonite. I'm sorry, what were we talking about, Donna? Sorry.
You've only been a Filipino for 15 years.
So it was that epiphany that I had in the Philippines that changed me forever. I became Filipino after that trip, after walking through that GK village where half of it was slum, half of it was the nice little painted colored houses. And I fell in love with the Philippines. I fell in love with my people. I fell in love with who I was as a Filipino. And so everything, the whole foundation of that transformation back to the United States. And I've said this before, on that trip, I went to the Philippines as an American, but I came back as a Filipino. And when you're talking to an extremely poor person who doesn't have what I have, and you go into that environment as an American thinking, I'm going to be able to do something for you because I have this and you have nothing. I'm going to help you. And the opposite happened, Donna. They gave me something more valuable than what I could give them. And I mean, I was going to cuss, sorry. Where they lived was bad. It was ugly and it was dirty. And they were just talking to me saying, thank you for coming into my home. And this is my house. And these are the pictures and those are my kids. And I'm thankful for what I have. And I'm looking like, are you crazy? There's nothing here. And they're offering me water. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink that water because I don't want to get sick. And I'm just like, oh my God. But it was that act and that connectivity that I had with them that was unbelievable. I couldn't really explain what I was feeling. All I knew was they didn't have much. And I looked to the other side where it was just trash and shanties. And I made that declaration 15 years ago, and I said, this is going to stop. Not on my watch. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, Donna. I just made it up on the spot because I felt something burning in my heart and said, if I was in your shoes, I would want somebody like me to do something about this. And that was it. And I've operated that way for the last 15 years, Donna.
I remember when GK was first introduced, or the early years it was introduced in the US, Tito Tony Melotto appealed to what he would call the pre-departure demographic of the Filipino American population. And by pre-departure, he meant, those people who've already made it and they're retired. And he challenged them to give back to the country. And he challenged them to be heroes, right? And for people who were born and raised in the Philippines and immigrated to the US to, to pursue the proverbial greener pastures, that, appealed to them. And that's how we got the doctors building villages, not just homes, not just one or two homes, but villages, right? The Tito Charlie Capati and the Dr. Charlie Capati, Dr. Primo Andres, Dr. Zita or Oni and Zita Yoro, and all of them, right? Built all these, villages. But you and I come from, from the same generation. We were not pre-departure at that time, more than 10 years ago. We're more or less about, the same age, the same generation. I'm 25, you're 26. Right? No, but
25 and a half.
There you go. But you got to be a little bit older than me. I will not agree for me to be older than you. No, so just kidding. We're 26 and 27. So that did not appeal to me. And I'm pretty sure the pre-departure, thing, did not appeal to you either. You've already made your own, fortune, self-built, self-made millionaire and all of that. But the pre-departure thing and you not being born, in the Philippines, I don't know if being a hero to Filipinos appealed to you as it did to people who are actually born and raised there, or did it?
I thought when he talked about being heroes, it did not connect with me as Filipino. It was like, boy, that is a tall order, dude. You really want me to go in and sacrifice everything that I built to help all these people who really, and this is the way I thought, okay, which is bad, but I'm going to share it. And it was very American. I just thought everybody in the Philippines, I just thought they were lazy. I said, why don't you just get a job? Because I never understood third world poverty. All I knew was first world. In the United States, you're offered so much and all these services and all these benefits for just being in this country. And all you have to do is just have half a brain and you're willing to go take 2 steps and use one arm, you can go in and make a good living. But I didn't know about the struggle of the Philippines. I never knew anything about what happened to the Philippines, and I never knew what third world poverty was. I thought Filipinos were lazy. And as a kid, there was always the uncles always asking for money, and everybody was begging in it. But as a kid, you translate that as, God, get a job. Why are you mooching off me and my dad? I don't got any money. And nobody explains that to you, Donna. It wasn't until I made that declaration 15 years ago and what I saw and what I felt, I started to understand what happened to the Philippines. And then here's a funny story. Someone told me about a word called bayanihan. And as a kid in America, there would be this dance troupe called the Bayanihan Dance Company. And I thought it was a dance troupe. You see that? That's very American. But in the Philippines, somebody taught me that word, and they started to explain that it was about Filipinos coming together. And while they come together, all things became possible because they did it together. And then a couple years later, someone even broke down the word bayanihan. And they broke it down as bayan, meaning our nation and our community, and bayani, which is hero, and bayanihan coming together for a common purpose, that we're heroes coming together for the greater good of our community and our country. And it blew me away because I never thought the Filipino language was that beautiful. I never spoke it. I understood it, but it was just so poetically beautiful to say that here's this beautiful word where I could see it manifested, where all these people are coming together to build these villages. And it wouldn't be possible if it was just one person. But the key word in Bayanihan was bayani. And that's really where I took it to heart that, oh my God, these are my people and we're a heroic people and I'm a hero. You see, and that was huge for me, Donna. I still believe everything that I've known, and I've been to the Philippines in the last 15 years, probably over 60, 70 times. And I have access to whomever I want to talk to when it comes to culture bearers or professors. So I'm just soaking all this stuff up. And they're right in about Bayanihan. It's the spirit of heroism. That is uniquely us. It blew me away. And that's why I created the Filipino School. Because I felt nobody's going to get to go back 60, 70 times. I do, you see. So I took ownership of how can I get more people to understand how beautiful we really are as a people. And that's what makes us unique, you see, and live that way. Not just, okay, I'm Filipino, okay, Manny Pacquiao, go, win, win, win. No, it's like I'm Filipino. I come from heroic blood. Do you understand that? We don't do things alone. We do things together. So if you think everything's all messed up, take a good look in the mirror at who you are and understand who you are. And that's where I felt that could I build a school that can teach everybody the beauty of who we are as a people through this? Because I knew not everybody was going to have the privilege that I had to go back and really get the answers. And not only just get the answers in your head, Donna, but feel the answers right here.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's the Filipino heart is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced in my life. Straight up, straight up.
That's amazing. That's very powerful. There, in fact, I don't think there is a direct English translation for Bayanihan. I don't think that there's a direct, like a literal translation to the English language, for Bayanihan. And you alluded to the Filipino school. I want to talk about that a little bit here. Um, we have some friends who wanted to say hi, so I'm going to read out their their comments and greetings. So, well, my husband was the first one. Robbie says, "Great to see you, Tony." Oh, and honey, he said, my background is really cool. I said,
Oh,
it's always.
it's bad. You
Oh,
rock, Robbie.
from Eva Damantay, hello there, from GK Tampa.
Hi, Eva.
From Tito Boy Montalibano, good morning from here in the Philippines.
Yeah, so I call him Kuya Boy. So
Yeah.
he's younger in my book.
Yeah, somebody asked me what to call you. I said, I think well, you can call him Tony or Kuya Tony. Don't call him Tito yet. No offense to those I call Tito. It's obviously, terms of endearment. Tito Jim Rafinhan says, great to see you, my idol. Thanks for sharing your time.
Thank you, Your Highness.
Your Highness, oh my gosh. Do you guys have a mutual admiration club going on?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds, marami.
All right, John, I am not ignoring your question, but that is actually our question for the night. I will ask it toward the end. All right. So Tony, you talked about the Filipino school. So I know what it is, obviously, but tell our friends what it is.
The Filipino School is a school in San Diego, but it's designed as a recording studio. It's about 2,400 square feet. And you could go on to the filipino.com and see some pictures of it. But it originally started as we had classes there, and we taught Filipino language and culture, and with the intent that we were going to do everything online.
Mhm.
You see, so I knew that I wanted to build this school. And on the same note, it was never designed just for San Diego. It was there to teach a global Filipino what it truly meant to be Filipino. And everybody has their own definition of it, but could we guide them there? And we have two main programs. Okay, the first program is called the Pilgrimage. And pilgrimage is a Filipino pilgrimage. Okay. And so pilgrimage is very similar to birthright that the Jewish people do, where they all go back to Israel and they understand the story of Israel. What happened? Why did it create this diaspora? In our Filipino pilgrimage, we take about 40 Philams to go back to the Philippines, a lot of them that have never been back, and see the beauty of the Philippines. And
I did not
I,
realize 40 people going. I thought it's
yeah,
at least 20 max. That's a
it
big
it it started off where 15 years ago, Donna, I felt what I felt, and it was beautiful. And I said, is this just me? So I wanted to see, I started testing it for 3 years with groups of like 12. I would just invite some friends, say, come with me to the Philippines. Excuse me. They come with me to the Philippines, and they were like, dude, I'm not going, I might get kidnapped. I said, dude, if I haven't gotten kidnapped, I know he's gonna kidnap you. But I would bring these groups over and I would go through my steps of how I became Filipino. And boy, it was amazing. It was, these people would come scared of going to the Philippines and realizing that, oh my God, these are my people. There were times where we would even land on the plane Donna, and a few of them would just be crying. How's that? How do you explain that? These are Philams. The plane lands and they're crying. And I see that a lot. They feel their homeland and they feel their people. It is crazy beautiful. You see, so that's the pilgrimage. The second and most important part, if the pilgrimage is the inspirational part, because we also partnered with ABS-CBN to document and create a docu-series called The Pilgrimage, the digital series. So that's on Amazon Prime. So if you're a Prime member, you can watch it. And it's 14 episodes, and you see these young Philams like, oh, I've never been to the Philippines. And in the end, they're so in love with the Philippines that they're emotional about it. So you get, that's the pilgrimage becomes the inspirational part, and we're going to be filming season 2. Okay, if everything works out COVID-wise, we're going to be filming season 2 in January. And then the second piece of the school is a fully animated series called The Filipino Story. And I have some amazing, amazing animators and story writers and historians where we get to tell our story in that animated format, okay, where it starts with a young Philam girl named Cassie, Cassie with a K, and she goes on this journey. And we go through the whole beginning of the Austronesians and the Balangais turning into the barangay, in the origins of early Bayanihan, and the essence of our core value in our people, that kapwa, that connectivity that's so unique within us. It goes through all of that, but through the eyes of a young Philam, and it's slotted as 15 10-minute episodes, but you're going to get the whole, what we feel are some of the most important aspects that make us so beautiful as a people. And people will watch the series and actually get the education that they need as a foundation to move forward as a hero, as a Filipino. You see, they're going to know exactly the spirit of being Filipino is bayanihan, that I am a hero, and from this day forward, I'm going to be a hero from now on, which means I'm going to be Filipino. You see, I'm excited. I met with some of the animators last night and the story writers, and it's just so bad astronaut. It's that good.
And you hired like professionals and people who are
Yeah,
really good in this field, right? Like
yeah,
really
Marvel guys, DC guys,
amazing
these there's these there's a great cast of people, and we get to showcase our talent as a people, and finally let's tell our story. It's 15 episodes, and Rizal had this quote. I hope I don't butcher it. I saw it when I was walking through the Rizal Memorial in Intramuros. Okay, so I was walking there, and there was a piece of, I think it was a piece of stone, and it said, to foretell the destiny of a nation, one must look, woman must open the book that tells of her past, Jose Rizal. And I took a picture of it, and I didn't know what I was going to use it for. And then it dawned on me, oh my God, I have to create the book in its new format, in an animated format that's going to be watched here for free. You see, that every Filipino can watch it be entertained and be educated. Now, I didn't coin this word, a friend of mine named Noah coined it, but edutainment.
Mm.
Educate and entertain at the same time. And so, no, I'm using your word, bro. So that's the Filipino story.
That's amazing. It's going to be available on mobile, on on your phones and everything, and it's free. So you get you provide access to anyone and everyone. You don't have to be Filipino to know
Yeah,
about who we are as
absolutely.
people,
Absolutely.
right? Like
Absolutely.
friends who are curious about who we are, right? With especially with what's going on. I want to. I've asked our I think all of our guests for May at least this. What's your take with what's going on with Asian hate and all of that?
People are just misinformed. That's all. They're just misinformed. They're coming from assumptions. They're coming from a little vantage point. I, I, I I don't want to make them wrong, Donna. How's that? I don't make
Mhm.
them wrong because 15 years ago, I was my worst version of a Tony Olaes because I wasn't Filipino. And I assumed everybody in the Philippines were poor and lazy. Okay. I just wasn't informed. I wasn't informed, Donna. So Asian hate is just people that aren't informed. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just, I don't know their story. I don't know what happened to them. I don't even like what I see. If they're going to hurt somebody, it's wrong. But if they're misinformed, then all they have to do is get informed. But I think we as a society can't kill each other off. We just can't. And it comes from, I know if they know what I know about Asians and especially about Filipinos, they would change their mind. They just don't know.
And I'm glad you said that. And you're right. And unless they hurt people or they actually do something bad, most people who have strong, biases against other people are people who are misinformed because they don't know who those, who these people are. And, I think it's a natural human tendency to be biased against something you don't know. It should not be a human tendency to hurt people you don't
Right.
know, but to have biases, if we're going to be honest, right? We all have our own biases. And I think that comes from not knowing, like you said. And I think, I mean, you're doing what you're doing for the Filipino school, with the Filipino school, that's something that, I mean, that's a huge step forward to letting people know who we are as as Filipinos, who we are as a people. And I really think that it should start from us too, in knowing who we are, like as
Yeah.
who we are as a people, and so we can begin to appreciate our own heritage, right? And so hats off to you and your team for all the programs that you mentioned, at the Filipino school. I have another uh, message from comment from Tita Freddy and Tita Dita Guevara. Tony O, you bring a very different perspective that those of us from the islands can't. Refreshing, powerful, affirming. Mabuhay ka, bro.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I haven't talked to you guys in ages. Miss you
And,
guys.
and from Saeed, Mabuhay. PHPHPH. I don't know what PHPHPH is, Saeed. You have to educate. What does that mean? Do you know?
Philippines, Philippines, Philippines.
Oh, Philippine flag. All right, cool. Sorry. I was born and raised in the Philippines, but I don't, some of these things I don't understand. I guess I've been away too long, right? Okay. So I'm curious. I know we're going back a little bit to your background and all of that, but I'm really curious to know. You kept saying, I did not appreciate myself as a Filipino. I did not know who I was as a Filipino until 15 years ago and all of that. how was it growing up in your, in your household, in your family? You did not speak Tagalog, I suppose. But other
Mm,
than that, like what kind of, how were you brought up so that you did not, you did not know much about being Filipino? And
I-
being in California, I would think that, there's more exposure to the Filipino culture and all of that.
and it's and my parents were awesome, okay, and they just wanted to protect us. They want us to assimilate. They spoke Tagalog at home.
Mhm.
We had a lazy Susan that was like this big in our dining table, and we had this much room to eat. I mean, it just we had the Last Supper on the wall. We had the big fork and spoon, and I mean, we it was a Filipino household. But when we stepped out, we were white. Straight up, we were white. Okay, we ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but we would come home and we would eat sinigang and tuyo, and but we wouldn't dare, she wouldn't dare pack that for lunch. So we were just protected, okay? And so and then there's a generation gap too. And our parents, we love our parents, but they're not cool. Like I'm not cool now anymore, and so whatever your parents tell you, it's all this utusan. You're a kid. You're not going to listen to them. So there's that gap too. And not that we were told to be that the Philippines was bad, because I can tell you right now, my father, all he kept saying was the Philippines is beautiful. The Philippines is beautiful, and I thought he was full of it, because all I would hear in American news was bad things about the Philippines. And as a kid, you think the news is real. Nobody teaches you opinion TV. Okay. You watch the news and it's on TV, and you watch your cartoons, you watch your movies, and you watch your news, and you think it's all neat and real. And everything was bad about the Philippines. So you become a product of your own environment. The environment teaches you that the Philippines has done nothing for me. It's everybody's getting kidnapped over there. Why are they making people like me look bad? Why would I want to be associated with that? And that was just kind of growing up. And even though I loved being home, I loved all the food, there was really no other reason to do anything otherwise. And I wasn't alone. There's a few million of us that grew up that way.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, Tony, I'm loving your honesty and your I know you. I mean, obviously, we've spoken, in private, many times, and I've always known, you to be this way. But I'm glad that our friends here in GK USA and even Gawad Kalinga Philippines can see that, and because it is real. What you're seeing what you've been saying is all real and true. As raw as it is real and true. And my husband tells me to. So Ravi, my husband is, he was born in the Philippines but moved to Chicago at age 15, 16. So as a teenager. So, he's in his 50s now. So he obviously had spent, more than half of his life in the US. And Chicago, at that time especially, did not really have a big Filipino population. And and so you're right, what you said about parents wanting to protect their children, by wanting them to assimilate, right? They did not want them to, to speak Tagalog, like not even at home, because they wanted them to practice, speaking English so that when they went to school, they won't have a hard time adjusting to and they're talking to their, to their classmates and all of that, kids in school and all of that. And the reason, this was a reason that was given to me by one of our, one of the titas, right? She said, well, I wanted to protect my children because I had experienced really bad discrimination, racial
Oh yeah,
discrimination, and I
yeah.
did not want them to go through that. So, so just for, our friends who might not understand that, right? Especially for, those who might not have a you know, not heard that story, that those types of stories before. That is why, right? That it's not wanting, their children to know and appreciate their culture. It's really about protecting them from,
Absolutely.
period, and
Absolutely.
just not being discriminated and all of that. All right, so there's one more thing that I saw something here from Shirley Domingo. In other words, get educated. All right, yep. And that is why, Tony is very
Hi, Tita
passionate
Shirley.
about the Filipino school, doing such a great job on that front. And from Jainab, Alfad, Salam, Tony.
Oh, hi. Hi, Janab.
All right. So, okay. Well, what are your, what other, you have like huge undertakings and unbelievable, right? What are your plans for, going forward? With, I know you've got Filipino school, lots of things going on there, obviously, right? And you still sit on the board of Gawad Kalina USA.
Yeah.
And you're obviously still very actively involved in Gawad Kalinga, not only financially supporting the organization and the movement and the programs and all of that, but really being involved, right? Like being present. So, but what other plans do you have, and any other specific things that you might, you're thinking about for not only for Gawad Kalinga, but maybe for your businesses, for your family, because we for the past 42 minutes, all we talked about was Gawad Kalinga. Um, but obviously you're a very family man, like 15 minutes into the into the show. Hello, wife. So obviously all that is important to you. So, anything that you can share with us.
I when I look at June 12th, 2024, it's a declaration, it is a date. Okay. And I'm seeing my friends pass. Um, with everything that happened through COVID. Uh, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, Donna. All I know is June 12th, 2024, my commitment is to free my people. That's freedom. To free my people. Not say that here's a date that we're independent. It is a date that I say, I'm going to free my people. I own that. So everything that I do, Donna, revolves around owning that. And I don't have all the answers. All I know is if I choose it and I make it possible and I declare that all things are possible, it will happen. And I've been doing this for 15 years, Donna. Just struggling. And sometimes I'm fighting with God, literally. And because there's this war inside me that says, there's just so much to do. And it's hard. And the majority, the masa, is not thinking the way you're thinking. The masa is, okay, what are the influencers saying? What are we doing here? What are we doing there? And it's tiny. And I just want to provide for my family and this and that. And there's nothing wrong with it. And then there's me. I'm going to free my people because I committed to it 15 years ago. And I gave my word to it. And I'm going to find a way. And so everything that I do today revolves around that way. And if it were perfect, create a school that teaches the spirit of being Filipino, which is the spirit of heroism. That's the spirit of bayanihan. Kapwa says that we're one within each other. Ka in Kapwa is to connect. that if Kapwa is our people and we're a connected people, then now it explains why I connected when I walked through that slum for the first time. I felt the pain of my people. I felt their pain and I said, you are not going to live that way anymore. And I'm making a promise you're not. So did I envision a school, Donna, at that moment? No, I just said, I'm going to find a way because it's wrong for you to live this way. So teach a school, Bayanihan, a school that teaches Bayanihan and Kapwa through this. And can I connect every single Philam, Filipino Canadian and Filipino European, Filipino from the Philippines or Australia, doesn't matter, and connect everybody through this. And create a central portal where everybody finally just gets connected. Why? Because we're connected people. Bayanihan through technology through this. And then Bayanihan through pooling our money together. The stat that I got from 2015 is that we spend over 100 billion US spending power of the Philam. Okay, we remit $12 billion to the Philippines. Okay, annually. We represent 10% of the GDP of the Philippines. We are the highest per capita Filipino on the planet. We just don't know who we are and how beautiful we are. We don't know that Kapwa says that we're a connected people. We don't know all of this stuff. We just feel it and we act it out. That's why we're the Facebook people and the text people of the world. Because we're yearning to connect. Kapwa defines that for us. Innately in our DNA, we connect automatically. It's why we have to have a Filipino organization at our high school, at our junior high school, in college. There was a high school in San Diego that had 5 Filipino kids in it. That's it, 5. They had to start a Filipino club. That's Kapwa. It's the yearning to connect to one another because we feel each other. If all those 3 entities come together, Bayanihan, teach Bayanihan, finally. Teach it, embody it, connect everybody here. When everybody's connected, we can create and do anything. Anything becomes possible when we're connected because we're caring and sharing people. Bayanihan through this, and then Bayanihan with our money. One of the things that I love about credit unions is that you create a credit union where everybody owns the credit union, who's put in whatever money you put in, doesn't matter how much, you have equal ownership. Equal ownership, that's Bayanihan through money. Technology allows us to remit money. Money doesn't have to go to Wells Fargo or Western Union. It goes through my financial institution. But when I see that there's billions of dollars that can go, and I don't know if the audience knows what the 5-6 is. And Don, I'm not sure if you know what the 5, what's that?
5-6, like the loan sharks?
Yeah, the loan sharks. The Bombay. Every poor community has a Bombay where they borrow $5 and they got to pay $6 30 days later. I mean, I get upset when I get charged 6% a year. They're getting charged 20% a month. You want a recipe for our people to stay poor? Keep the Bombays. This credit union will be the billion-dollar beast that will end the Bombay. And that's just for starters. Did I think all this stuff was going to be made up 15 years ago? No. This is how I lived, Donna. You see that?
Mhm.
This is a commitment to free my people. End of story. Game over. That is how I'm going to play. And nobody's going to tell me I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get another accountant to tell me it's not possible, because I made money that first year.
Yeah,
I did. That's just a
amazing.
straight up truth. I made money.
That really is inspiring, Tony. What I love is that you have this grand vision and you apply yourself and you have concrete expressions and action plan and implementation of what you envision, things to be. I tell you, when I heard you that first time on that stage, more than a decade ago, that stuck to me. And now, that I'm, trying to build my, my own, trying to be an entrepreneur, building my own business, that stuck to me. And you're right, it is possible to make money in the first year. It is possible. I don't make, I'm not a millionaire like you are, but that I kept thinking of that, like I am not going to accept that, and I can do it. But what I think what makes us, what equalizes us, right? Those who are privileged or who are, who are have the advantage of, being able to help out versus those who people who need help, is that we all have the capacity to dream. The difference is that we can all dream. It's free, right? We all have the capacity to dream, no matter what social background you have, socioeconomic background you have. The difference is that some of us have opportunities to act on those dreams and others don't. But what Gawad Kanina is doing, and all of us who are involved in the work, is make it also possible for those people who have very limited opportunities to act on their dreams and to fulfill their dreams. And I just love that about our movement. Now, before I ask you the question for the night, I love it. We started doing this last week. It coincided with the Miss Universe pageant. So I asked our guest last week, Mylene Supan, to answer a Miss Universe question, but then we just loved it. So now it sticks, I think, for every week we're going to have a question for the week, right? But before I get to that, so I know your wife is Korean, right?
Yes.
This is Filipino, so your children are exposed to, I guess, both cultures. But do you
No, they're all
see
three of them are Filipino. I'm joking.
I know they're all grown because
Yeah.
they're 25 and 26. So I don't know, like the people can't do math, so it doesn't matter. but do you see them following your footsteps or passing on your legacy to them? Is it important for you to pass on this legacy that you had started to your children?
No, I mean it's their lives are their lives. They get to choose. I could tell you that, and I don't force anything upon my kids, even though I'm pretty firm with them. Some of them have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just Daddy
How
Warbucks.
many kids do you have?
Three. So I'm just dad. I'm the guy. Here, let me show you something. This
And
is
how old are they? Just so people have a perspective.
22, 20, and 15.
Okay.
So I'm this guy. So I don't get any. I'm just dad. I'm the guy who walks around in his underwear, who, that's it. So they get to choose what they get to choose, Donna. Okay. But I could tell you that they've been back with me to the Philippines. And I could tell you that my eldest boy, I brought him back maybe 3-4 times. And then I brought him to the pilgrimage and he cried his eyes out. And he understood and he finally understood his own privilege, and he just said,
Uh-oh.
I never
Did we
realized.
lose Tony, or
Well, I'm
did you
sorry.
guys lose me? Okay, you were out for like a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, I with my eldest boy, he finally understood his own privilege as an American. And he realized, oh my God, this is the other side. And he too realized that it could no longer stay that way, not on his watch as well. So he gets to choose. All I can do is bring him to the water, but I can't make him drink. I'm not sure if you could talk back, but I'll keep talking. So there's a question from, I'm going to go and answer the question that is being asked by Chrissy. What makes you proud to be Filipino? Whew, that's a big one. I didn't know what it meant to be Filipino 15 years ago. If I were to, I think I've shared it on the call, why I'm most proud, but I'm going to encapsulate it. I'm proud because I come from an amazingly beautiful people. The most caring and sharing people on the planet. I believe that. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I felt it over and over and over again. And that's what makes me so proud. And that's what makes us so different. I use this quote a lot from one of my heroes, and his name was Anthony Bourdain. And he traveled all over the world, okay? And everybody thought it was a food show. He connected the world to our TV screens. And he taught us that the world is good, that the entire world is good, that we shouldn't fear the entire world. And he said this, for reasons I've yet to understand, the Filipino people are the most giving of all people on the planet. How do you like that? This is a global traveler. He said that about my people, and I believe him. And I have the evidence. I have the evidence for what I've seen. I have the evidence on what I've learned, and I have most of all I have the evidence of what I feel. That's what makes me proud. Okay. And when I was sharing my story about walking through that slum / Gawad Kalinga village, those people that I talked to where I thought I was going to give them something, they gave me the greatest gift ever. They gave me what it meant to be Filipino. They gave me my Filipino-ness because they were demonstrating it. It's that beautiful. It really is. And my dad would always say the Philippines is a beautiful place, and I never believed him, and now I know. The beauty of the Philippines is in our people, my people. So that's why I fight for them. Because if I was in their position, I would want somebody to fight for me too, in my family. Okay. That's it. That's what I live my life for. And that's my destiny.
It's,
Okay.
your story is amazing, Tony. And, and I'm sure a lot of the people who know you personally in GK and even outside GK would, share the same sentiment, how I feel very blessed
to have known you and call you my friend, because not, just because of the only thing that's bigger than your vision is your heart, really. And this is all where this is coming from. Where there's going to be a lot of great things that will happen on June 12th, 2024.
Yeah.
But we are looking forward to much, much, much more and greater things beyond 2024. And that's our commitment. And that is the legacy that we are going to leave our children, the future generations. And they will, they will pave their own journey. They will walk their own journey, and they will create, their own Filipino school or a version of that, right? Your children and future generations. But the important thing is that we are planting the seeds now.
Right
And
on.
so with that, Tony, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome,
joining us
Donna.
this evening. And mabuhay ka, like everyone said in the chat. Oh my gosh, the comments is exploding right now. And thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us this evening for another episode of Kwentong GK. Make it a habit every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Please join us and be part of the conversation. Have a good night, everyone.